So this is what I've been working on this evening, this Lagrangian for the absorption and emission of photons by electrons in the background. So I've been trying to figure out what sort of notation to use, and I think I've decided upon this kind of this Born rule looking, almost set theoretic kind of notation that yeah, strikes one as being sort of like, well, I mean, it's sort of like quantum field theory notation. It looks a bit like the standard model notation. But really what I'm trying to do here is combine different forms of notation such that it integrates quantum field theory with general relativity, or harmonizes ideas from general relativity into a sort of a quantum mechanical reference frame, or quantum mechanical incorporates quantum mechanical ideas within a general relativistic cognitive frame of reference, if you like, to borrow, yeah, frame of reference, obviously, from general relativity as an idea. But yeah, to harmonize all that into a system of notation that doesn't, well, that might form a compromise position, let's say, between the notations found in general relativity and quantum field theory. And also, this looks like, I think, if you were to program it into a computer, that you might be able to get something sensible out of this sort of way of thinking. So here we go. This sort of yellowy bit of paper here. This is all my failed attempts, and the I think the correct Lagrangian is up there, and it's got sort of 3 dots after it, which means it just kind of continues on in that sort of vein until it reaches the nth electron and the nth photon, right? So yeah, just to kind of talk you through what all this means. I'm actually going to ignore that for the time being. I'm going to go here, and so I decided it was only sensible to really operate within a given frame of reference, so from a given observational standpoint. And this is, so we're starting point with 1 electron in the background less 1 photon. So what I'm trying to establish here is that this electron is emitting a photon, such that gamma 1 maps away from beta minus 1, okay, in the first frame of reference, and then that transposes onto this in the same frame of reference, beta minus 1 plus gamma 2. So really I'm trying to say something quite simple here. All that's going on here really is that the same electron has emitted a photon in this part of the Lagrangian, this frame of the Lagrangian within x1, if you like. And this is just transposing onto a different frame of the Lagrangian, a different temporal reference frame, if you like. So this is existing at a different time. We might call it T2, within the same Lagrangian. And this beta minus 1 is gaining a photon, photon 2, such that beta minus 1 maps on to photon 2, right? So yeah, I thought that might be sort of programmable, or it might make sense of the general sort of idea. Then in this next frame of reference, this next temporal frame of reference, this T2 here, this additional component of the Lagrangian, you find that beta minus 2 pops in this new electron, right, to emit a third photon, gamma 3, such that, is that even the right way around? Yeah, beta minus 2 maps away from gamma 3, or gamma 3 maps away from, did I even get that right? Yeah, I'm pretty certain I did. I'm pretty certain the R is the right way around. But then again, this just comes down to different forms of notation, really, and what we're trying to capture with our notation. And, you know, Felix Finster's got himself in sort of twists over this with his causal fermion systems. And I've been inspired by his work greatly as well in trying to figure out how to, you know, integrate varying forms of different notation within a sort of integrate those within an understanding of mathematics and mathematical physics and theoretical physics, and to try and come up with something sensible, and really just a way that tries to make everything coherent and tries to make everything possible to understand and explain, and to find something ultimately, I think, that you can put on a blackboard. Yeah, I've got my wellies on. Yeah, I've got my wellies here in the hospital with me for some reason. I love putting them on because they're just so fucking comfortable. And they help me think as well, I think. It's better than, they're more comfortable than wearing nothing. So it's a bit odd. Some videos I'm in my wellies. In fact, I'm often in my wellies, but whatever, I don't care. Yeah, so it's it's a very hard task what I'm doing, but really it's something very simple to explain. It's something very or very easy. It's an easy idea, really. It's not. This represents nothing that's that difficult to diagrammatize or simulate, but the importance of doing the maths is really so that it can be simulated, if you see what I mean. Because ultimately you're going to have to translate all these things into computer code, or someone is going to have to, who isn't me, and they're going to have to come up with computer simulations of this to at least diagrammatize it, if you see what I mean. Otherwise, well, we could sort of do that with pen and paper. We could do diagrams literally of these things happening. I mean, I could draw. I mean, well, even if I were to draw it, I would have to like put a box around it, say, and you know, this is outside the box. Say this is T1, and what's going inside the box, and we're assuming that the box is the same location, right? So we've just assumed that the box is X1 as well. In so this. So X, T, and you see where we're going from here on out with this Born rule idea, this X and T continuum, whereby we, you know, have n of whatever this is, if you see what I mean, or n of whatever those two components of the configuration space, vector space, you know, could be called, and it comes out with, you know, this sort of stuff. But I come up with one Lagrangian before, and that was what I call the gravito-electroweak Lagrangian, and I think that's my most beautiful equation that I've ever come up with. That one. I don't know how these measure up. These seem like quite quirky, quite cool. I think they get across the idea that I'm trying to express. And again, we're thinking very much in terms of just particle exchanges in the background. This is totally like particle physics, more like notation. This is how it strikes me. It strikes me as being very much more like the standard model sort of notation, rather than anything involving waves or wave mechanics or or classical quantum theory, if you see what I mean. Because we're very much in a sort of different age of quantum theory now, with non-local realism having received the Nobel Prize. We understand entanglement better than we did back in the 1930s, 40s, even the 60s, 70s, and 80s, right? And, well, now we have a second quantum revolution on our hands and so on. And we need to be thinking, you know, harder about how to represent our ideas and how they can be simulated and so on, and these sorts of things. But, yeah, I hope this sort of, I mean, I'm really now seriously thinking about writing something that I'm going to try and publish in terms of serious physics papers, and not just sort of scrawling drafts and, like, you know, not finishing them and whacking them out there for all and sundry to come across and just look at and go, nah, and move away from, and, you know, not want to really engage with, or idiotically send to physics professors for them to sort of wince at, probably, and not really engage with. And no, I think this comes down to something that hopefully is more intuitive for people. I mean, because none of this involves calculus at all. There's no calculus in this whatsoever. Of course, you can see, no integral signs, no d over dt's or whatever. Yeah, there's no calculus in this. This is just a Lagrangian, so it's easier. Also, this is more like it's linear algebra, I suppose. But more than that, it's sort of got logic notation in there also, and yeah, it's got little such that colons. So it's not. Whoa. And ultimately I decided that if Dirac is allowed his own notation, why am I not allowed my own notation? And this sort of thing. And I suppose as physicists, we kind of have to say that eventually, don't we? And, you know, Newton invented maths, or discovered maths, or whatever you like. Maybe I count this as a discovery in mathematics, whatever this is, as opposed to an invention. Because, I mean, I've also invented this in maths. I've literally invented it. I don't credit this as a discovery at all. This new sort of integral, where I just do like that. I call it a flower integral. I don't know what it's supposed to be, though. Like, of f, flower integral of, I don't know, psi to the xt. And now we're sort of painting a painting, if you see what I mean. Almost, but I've created, elaborately beautiful, sort of, looking equations, I think. It's my own integral, weird integral thing. What could it represent? I have no idea. It could be a beautiful, lovely thing. An integral over another integral, whatever that means, in like representational graph theory or something. But no, like this I think represents something physical. And that's why I think it's sort of lovely, and dare I say beautiful, and it reflects something coherent. So we're not talking about any x2s or x3s, we're just talking about one given position, one single spatial frame of reference reflected in the x, but we're just assuming that each of these steps represented by the absolute value symbols, and I'm just using that to represent a given slice of time, if you see what I mean, within this Lagrangian, and the evolution of a system, the system being x1, or the frame of reference being x1. I don't know, I'd really like a physicist to sort of get into contact with me to see if I'm on point mathematically here, and to see if I'm doing something of value with all this. I guess I will anyway, because, hopefully some physicists will read the paper that I end up writing with this in it, and they'll be able to decide for themselves. But yeah, okay, thank you for watching. I think I've banged on long enough about this, and it's been nice talking to you. Bye.